So we're going to evaluate some trig functions, and we're going to use what we learned last year, or what you learned last year, which is your SOHCAHTOA, sine opposite over hypotenuse, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent opposite over adjacent, which you should already know. And then I introduced to you three new functions, which are just inverses of each other. So remember, the cos do not go together. So sine and cosecant, they go together. So cosecant is simply the inverse, or the flip, of your sine function. So this is hypotenuse over opposite. Your cosine and your secant are inverses of each other, so that's going to be hypotenuse over adjacent. And then your tangent and cotangent are inverses of each other, so cotangent is simply adjacent over hypotenuse. So the first thing you need to know is you need to have your reference, and you need to know which side is which. So if we look at our triangle here, I can see that across from my angle, the angle that I'm looking for, this is my theta here, this is my opposite side. So it is opposite my theta. So be careful, because sometimes we can be looking from this reference point, in which case this 15 would be the opposite side. Okay, the side that actually touches the angle is your adjacent side, and then your hypotenuse is always across from your right angle. So if I asked you to find, say, secant, for example, let's find secant of theta. So I then would have to reference which one of these I'm talking about. So I personally like to write what I'm looking for. So this is going to be h over a. It just helps me remember which one I'm talking about. So that's hypotenuse over adjacent. So I just simply go over to my triangle, and my hypotenuse, I don't know what my hypotenuse is. So I'm going to have to do my Pythagorean theorem. And if we do Pythagorean theorem, well, hopefully you guys can see that this is a 3, 4, 5 triangle. So my hypotenuse in this case is going to be 25. So this is going to be hypotenuse, which is 25, over adjacent, which is 15. And please simplify your fractions when you can. So that's going to be 5 over 3. And that's it. Okay, so let's just try one more example. If you want to test yourself, this might be a good time to just stop the video and see if you can find cotan of theta. But if you don't know what you're doing, I'm going to continue doing this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remind myself what cotan is. So tangent, I know, is opposite over adjacent. So cotan is adjacent over opposite. So I want my adjacent side, which I already have here, but I don't know what my opposite side is, right? So I'm going to have to do Pythagorean theorem. And if you guys remember, Pythagorean theorem is simply going to be 5 root 7 squared plus x squared, equals 20 squared. So if I continue doing all of that, hopefully you guys are okay with that, I'm going to get x squared equals 225. So x equals 15. So this side over here is 15. So, and then all I need to do is adjacent over adjacent over opposite. So I'm going to have 5 root 7 over 15, and simplify your fractions if you can. So that's going to be just root 7 over 3. And make sure also, you guys, if you have a square root in your denominator, make sure you are rationalizing your denominator. You can't leave square roots in the denominator.